Obsidian Flames is almost here, and we are going through all the cards that are set to release. Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon, and here we play Jank. And as I said, we are going through every card that is going to be releasing in Obsidian Flames. At least what we expect to see. We don't have an official set list yet. By the time this comes out, then that might be different. So, bear with me. This is pre-recorded. So, let's go ahead and jump into today, which we are looking at Psychic Pokemon. I'm doing one type per day, and today's Psychic. So, let's see. First off, we are using the wonderful website Justin Basil, a fantastic website. I think they have a very nice card image to translation, layout, format, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's nice. And that's the site that I'm using for all this. So, first card in the set that is Psychic type is Cleffa. So it is the return of baby Pokemon, which we haven't seen for a little while. And the baby Pokemon seem to all have free attacks, 0 energy, which makes them pretty handy for, situations that you might get stuck in. So with Cleffa here, 0 energy attack, grasping draw cards until you have 7 in hand. Nice draw card, If you get stuck with Cleffa in the active, you can just draw until you have 7. So next turn you have, a little bit more to work with. Now there is Iono in the format and Judge in the format as well, and they will both be in the format basically as long as Cleffa is, and Cleffa is a 30 HP Pokemon. Very low HP. So the chances of you keeping that 7 card hand, I would say, are low, but hey, you never know, and when it works, it works. Just that 30 HP means just about anything will be KOing you, and don't expect to be using Cleffa multiple times in a match, or else you're giving away a lot of prize cards just to draw. So, yeah, I'm excited, but at the same time, there's reasons not to be excited. It does have free retreat. That's very nice. A free retreater, that's very nice. That does really help because, let's say Cleffa is in the active, you use Grasping Draw, they don't attack it. Now you have a free retreater that you can just move onto the bench, put in your attacker, and go at it, right? So that is very nice, actually. Next up, we've got Clefairy. Basic Pokemon, 60 HP, 2 Psychic Energy, slap, flip 2 coins, 30 damage for each heads. Pretty self-explanatory. 2 Psychic Energy. This could be a double colorless, and I still would be like, Now we have Clefable here. Clefable EX. Ability Lunar Zone. Each of your Pokemon that has a Psychic Energy attached has no retreat cost. Talk about a pure counter to Spidops. Doesn't matter how much more your retreat cost goes up if you have no retreat cost. So, yeah. But, so it is a good Pokemon, not just to counter Spidops. That'd be like probably its worst use. Honestly, it's just a good Pokemon because then any Pokemon with energy has free retreat, and you can just be moving them how you wish, and that can lead to some really good situations. And it's not just limited to Psychic-type Pokemon, but any that can use Psychic Energy. So if you have something that can use Psychic Energy, and you want it to have free retreat, Clefable EX could really help you out there. But also, it has a 3 Psychic Energy attack, Wondrous Moon, 170 damage. Move any number of Psychic Energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon any way you like. So, the ability lets your Pokemon retreat and kind of move around the field as needed, and then the attack lets you move energy around as needed. Both can be good. I think the 170 is okay. 3 Psychic Energy is quite a bit, in my opinion. And moving energy, I don't think is quite as useful as the designers wish it would be. So, you know, I do like Clefable, but I don't see it being like the next powerhouse deck or anything. So, sorry, Clefable. Next up, we've got Telkapy. Telkapy, for a colorless energy, whiny voice. Choose a random card in your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. So it's not discarding, sadly, just shuffled into the deck. They can just search it out again or whatever. It is a random card also. You don't get to see your opponent's hand or anything. It's not that great. Nothing to write home about. I mean, if Telkapy's in the active, you might as well use it. And then for 2 colorless, 20 damage. I would just rather use Whiny Voice. You never know what you're going to get with that. Next up, we have Togetic with 1 colorless energy, Shared Peace. Each player draws 3 cards. Anytime you give your opponent a benefit, especially something like this, that would be so easy, as I previously mentioned, to just Iono afterwards. You get 3 extra cards. Cool. Your opponent's probably gonna have a Iono or Judge to play then, and take away that 3 card benefit, right? So, yeah, not a huge fan of that. And then 2 colorless, 40 damage. Again, nothing to write home about. So, Togekiss has an ability, Precious Gift. Once at the end of your turn after your attack, you may use this ability. Draw until you have 8 cards in your hand. That's pretty amazing. Compared to Radiant Venusaur, who lets you draw up until you have 4 cards in hand, Togekiss doubles that, but it is on a stage 2. That's still really good. I could definitely see some decks wanting to take advantage of that. Will they be able to is the tough part. With this type of ability, since it's not an attack, you just do it every turn that it's out. It's less of an issue of Iono or Judge. Yes, that can happen, but then guess what happens next turn? You get to draw up until 8. And then guess what happens next turn? You get to draw up until 8, you know? So the reason to Iono and Judge is significantly less at that point compared to something like Shared Peace, where your opponent gets to the attack on Togetic, where your opponent gets to play out those 3 extra cards that they just drew and then Iono or Judge, you know? Where Togekiss is just a continuous thing where eventually you're going to benefit from this. So I actually really like that. And then 2 colorless energy, Power Cyclone, 110 damage. Move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. Hate it. You want to do 110 energy, or 110 damage? Crammer it. 0 energy, just 4 cards in the Lost Zone. Super easy to attack with. Don't go for a stage 2 Togekiss just to attack. This is going to be a bench sitting benefit. If there is a Togekiss that does take off, this could become like a one of in that deck to give you some extra draw. Other than that, I don't know if this is that much of a benefit to use, to try to use your time getting a stage 2 out for this, right? But I do like that ability. It will be beneficial eventually, sort of thing. Next up, we have Espeon. Espeon for 1 Psychic Energy, Psychic Attack, 30 plus damage. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it just doubles their damage plus 30. That's not bad. Psybolt, Psychic and Colorless Energy. 60 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Nothing really to make a deck about, but if an Eevee deck does come about, this isn't a bad attack. You throw on a Luminous Energy, and you just double the opponent's damage plus 30, and possibly get a KO. Not bad. And then if you're in a tough spot, maybe you Reversal Energy or something like that, and you can try to paralyze. Espeon's going to be like a just in case, a one of. And I feel like I'm saying that a lot. Said it with Togekiss, saying it with Espeon. Maybe like a one of in an Eevee deck. I didn't see Leafeon, Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon in this set, so I'm expecting an Umbreon because we got Espeon, but beyond that, I don't know if there's a good Eevee out there, like a good Evolution out there, right? So I was working on an EV box deck at one point, and it just was not good. Next up, we've got Snubble and Gramble. So Snubble is 1 Psychic Energy, 10 damage, whatever. 1 Psychic Energy and 1 Colorless, 30 damage. This Pokemon also does 30 damage to itself. This is just not good. We would want like a single energy with the drawback of 10 damage to itself, not 2 energy, 30 damage, and a drawback. 2 energy, 30 should be fine. You don't need that drawback. And then Gramble here, Psychic and a Colorless Confront, 50 damage. Okay. 2 Psychic and a Colorless Wild Tackle, 160 damage. This Pokemon also does 30 to itself. 3 energy, 160 damage. Does not need the drawback of doing damage to itself. What does it gain from dealing damage to itself? It would be one thing if it had like some sort of payback attack eventually, where maybe that 2 energy, 50 damage is instead 2 energy. It does twice as much damage as what's on it, or maybe just, you know, the same amount of damage. However much damage is on it, it does in its damage. That would at least give you a reason to build up damage on it. A reason for the it does damage to itself. Currently, it's just a bit expensive for a really not good drawback, because that drops you to 100 HP, and yeah, I just don't see that being beneficial. Am I being too harsh to Psychic Pokemon? Or are these ones just not doing much for me? Like, I don't know. Hopefully I'm not being too judgmental for these guys. Next up, we do have Mawile. So Mawile, for single Psychic Energy Mischievous Crunch, this attack does 30 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to this Pokemon. Heck yeah! Is there no limit? This attack does 30 damage for... There's no coin flip. There's no limit. That seems a bit ridiculous. Okay. Just come with me on this journey, right? You're playing Gardevoir. And, I mean, Drifloon is fun and all. 30 damage for each damage counter on it. You know, throwing a Bravery Charm. Usually you're saying 100 damage, right? And that is 300 damage back. So for this, you would need 10 energy on there, and you'd KO Mawile long before then, right? However, you can heal Mawile while you're attaching energy to it. Psychic Embrace is as much as you want. It's not just once during your turn, right? I've seen people use Psychic Embrace, attach energy, retreat that Pokemon, then attach that energy that they used to retreat. So Mawile could be healed while you're doing this. So you just slap in some heal cards, and you have Mawile dealing this damage. And, like, I'm not saying this is a reason to play over Drifloon, but I see something here that could be a lot of fun. And I'd be interested to see what people do with it. So I think Mawile actually has something here. Imagine something that like doubles the amount of psychic energy that's on your Pokemon, right? And then you have Gardevoir that accelerates all that energy, so you get 5 energy on there. It acts as if it has 10, and then it's doing 300. That's not bad. There's something there, right? That is something. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think that is something. Alright, next up we've got Spoink and Grumpig. Spoink, single Psychic Energy, 10 damage. 2 Colorless, 20 damage. No thank you. Grumpig, single Psychic Energy, Power Step. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like, then shuffle your deck. So it is Energy Acceleration, doesn't have to be to the active, and it comes from your deck, not your hand or discard pile. I kind of like that. In a different style Psychic deck, different than, say, Gardevoir, which wants to discard all of its energy to then use Psychic Embrace to put it all on the field, Grumpig is more about conserving it. So that could be useful. You know, if there's ever a Pokemon that, like, does damage based on how much energy is in your discard pile or something like that, Grumpig might be an alternate choice to Gardevoir. So yeah, that's interesting. Psychic Energy, double colorless, 100 damage, no one cares. No, you're playing it for Power Step, which is kind of sad because you're just playing Grunt Pig to power up something else. So, yeah. Or maybe use Grunt Pig to put the energy on all your Pokemon so when you get Clefable out, they all have free retreat. I don't know, just spitballing. Alright, now we have Lunatone and Solrock coming as a pair. Solrock usually gets printed as a rock type, a fighting type, in the TCG. So it's interesting to have a psychic version. I don't think it's its first psychic version. I'm just saying it's interesting. So, Lunatone has an ability, New Moon. If you have Solrock in play, prevent all effects of your opponent's stadium cards done to your Pokemon. Like what? And it has to be your opponent's stadium cards. So it's not like you could play, you know, let's just say the Calamitous Snowy Mountain or whatever it's called. That might actually be its name. And you have Lunatone and Solrock out. You would still take the damage because it's your stadium. It has to be your opponent's stadium. I don't know if there's any stadium that is so... Well, actually, if you have, that means if your opponent plays Path to the Peak, your Pokemon would still, with rule boxes, would still be able to use their abilities, doesn't it? That's interesting. Is it worth 2 spots on the bench for that effect? That is a big question. Probably not in Mew VMAX, but maybe Gardevoir? That's interesting. I don't know, that one I'm gonna have to see like it happening. You know what I mean? Like, if you are able to just play down those 2 Pokemon and boom, Path to the Peak's doing nothing against you, and then you can use all this stuff. Like, yeah, that's 2 bench spots, but that is getting your abilities back online. That's interesting. I don't think it'll actually happen. People will just play a counter stadium. But it's interesting, for sure. Next up, we've got Baltoy. Baltoy for a single Psychic Energy, 10 damage. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. If you do, your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon. So it's a hit and run that forces your opponent to put something in the active, and they may not want something else in the active. Whoops. They may not want something else in the active. Sorry. So it's interesting. It's a fun move. It's not something that I would say is absolutely reliable, because what if your opponent doesn't want something else in the act, or what if they want their benched Pokemon in their active spot and they just weren't able to find the switch or whatever? Does that mean you don't attack with Baltoy and just hope they don't have the switch after the next turn? Is that Rowlet in the art? That looks like Rowlet. Little Rowlet in the background. It's waving. Aww. Aww. I wonder if that ties into the other Rowlet that's in the set. No, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm in the middle of a video, Landon. Come on. Claydol! Claydol, single Psychic Energy. Kaboom Doll, put damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10. Then this Pokemon does 120 damage to itself. That's not bad, especially since you just gotta get your opponent's Pokemon poisoned, or have the Trevenant, right? No, but poison is way better, especially if you can do it from the bench. Just be like, oh, you're poisoned from the bench. Clogsire EX does that. So you do that, and then you throw something on here to keep its HP just a little bit higher, right? Even if it's just 10 HP, whatever, just get that HP just a little bit higher. And then you do that, so you are KOing them with the poison between turns, and you're not going down yourself. That could be a fun trade, you know? Especially if they're, like, running into a single prize deck with this strategy would be killer. Like, the deck would just die then. But against a multiple prize deck, this could be interesting at the very least. So yeah, I like it. Even if you can't get Claydol's, I don't know what my watch just did. Especially if you, I don't know, start trading. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. So even if you can't get it up to its HP higher, you can just have Mimikyu, the one that has the safeguard ability, I think that's what it's called, where it can't be damaged by EX or V Pokemon, on the bench to move up, you know? So that is a fun strategy. I don't know if it'll work, like be consistent enough, but it's fun. And then Psychic Energy, Mind Bend, at 30 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Not bad. Kaboom Doll is interesting, though. So that's what it was. They just backloaded all the interesting Psychic Pokemon. There we go. Vespiquen EX, coming through as a Terra type in Psychic. We saw the Comfey, we did not see the Vespiquen yet. So 1 Grass Energy, Recovery Pheromones, heals 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. Not loving it. 3 Grass Energy, Phantom Queen, 200 damage. Put 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. I don't like the that has any damage counters on it addition there. If it just straight up put 30 all over the board, that would be amazing and something, in my opinion, worthy of the 3 energy. The 200 damage is nice, but it's still 2-hit KOing other EXs, you know? I know there's some basic EXs that have below 200, but still, it's just not doing enough damage to make the, if they have damage counters, like, more relevant. I guess you could, you know, do 200, bosses orders it, and drop a Halucha, and then put 30 on there, so that's 240, and now you're KOing the high-end basic Pokemon EXs. No, it's just too much work, right? It's just too much work. I'm not loving Vespiquen EX, sadly. I'm sadly not. Sinistea, single Psychic Energy, Cold Tea, 10 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Okay, 30 HP basic is my biggest issue with this. Very easy to KO, very easy. You really need to hit heads on that paralyze. And then Poltegeist here, 1 Psychic Energy, Antique Collecting, put up to 2 in any combination of item and tool cards from your discard pile into your hand. 1 Psychic Energy, Pour Tea, put 5 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. Putting item cards back into your hand from the discard pile sounds interesting and a little dangerous. But Control really hasn't seen much play in a long time, so maybe Poltegeist will help with that, although I doubt it. It's just 2 item cards. If it was 2 trainers, maybe then, but 2 item cards, I'm kind of doubting. But who knows? I could be wrong. Graveyard. 1 Psychic Energy, 10 damage. Okay. 1 Psychic Energy, 1 colorless, 20 damage. Okay. Got nothing to say about it. Not a big fan. You guys know this. 1 Psychic Energy, 20 damage is just what I want. Graveyard for 3 colorless energy. Play rough, 30 damage, plus flip a coin. If heads, 60 damage instead. 60 damage for 3 energy on a basic. Just not good enough to me. You have to spend so much effort trying to get 3 energy on a Graveyard, and then it's just 60 damage. It's not like 10 plus, you know, whatever the other one is, where it's like 10 plus 10 for every Psychic Pokemon in the discard pile. Like, do something fun with it. It's 3 energy. I feel like I'm getting mad at Graveyard, but he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Houndstone. Houndstone, 2 colorless, rear kick, 30 damage. A Psychic and 2 colorless, struggle to the death. I sure hope that should mean snuggle to the death or something. 80 plus if your opponent has exactly 2 or 4 prize cards remaining. This attack does 120 more damage. I don't love the whole, like, oh, if they have exactly this. If it was just 3 or less, like, then it would just be 3, 2, and 1, right? Okay, awesome. You are, like, they are halfway to victory. This guy now does 200 damage for 3 energy. You got me. That's fun. But this, like, having to be like, are you at 2, 4? No, you're at 3. Okay. 80 damage, I guess. Like, nah. It could still be a fun card. I just don't think it's good enough where it's at now. Houndstone EX. 1 Psychic Energy, Big Bite, 30 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. Not bad. Psychic, double colorless, last respects, 160 damage, plus this attack does 10 more damage for each Psychic Pokemon in your discard pile. That could be fun at least, right? 160 for 3 energy on a stage 1, okay. Plus you can do more. Plus there's kind of no limit to how much you do, but you're probably not going to be adding more than, say, 10, right? But even then, if you have 10 Pokemon in your discard pile, this is doing 260? That's pretty fun to me. I like it. I don't think it's the next big deck, but I like it, and I would love to see where it goes. And I think that's it. Yep, that's it for Psychic Pokemon. We made it through. The first half really were kind of duds, but the second half, there's some spice in there where a deck might actually happen. Let me know what Psychic Pokemon you are planning on using in your decks, what decks you're planning on building, and all that stuff. Did I miss a synergy somewhere? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the rest of Obsidian Flames set review and all the other content I have going on. And join the Discord, where there's a bunch of awesome people, and you can talk more one-on-one with me if you want, if that's encouraging to you. And of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.